Hey you! You're watching a clip from the DynamiteGizmo Podcast. This is not the full episode, but if you want to see the full episode, make sure to click the link in the description. And remember, like, comment, subscribe. Do it now! Here's the clip. I need to talk about Ariel Helwani and what he said about Sean Strickland yesterday, because I disagree. He went off on Sean Strickland, but before I get into this, I want to give Ariel his flowers, because I genuinely have a lot of respect for Ariel. He has been a massive inspiration for what I do on this channel. I've followed him for years. I watch his show every single week. And when it comes to MMA news coverage, he's honestly the only guy I fully trust when it comes to breaking down information about the sport, or simply breaking news about the sport. Ariel and the crew always bring up a lot of great talking points. I don't always agree with them, and honestly, I probably side with GC or Rick more often than Ariel himself. But regardless of that, I still have a huge amount of respect for him. I want to start that off the bat. I have a huge amount of respect for him. And for the most part, I usually do agree with a lot of Ariel's opinions. But yesterday was one of those rare times where I just completely disagreed with him. Firstly, let's watch part of the clip I'm talking about so we can discuss it.
He is standing up there saying insane, vile shit about Muslim people, about Khamzat, about his family, about people he's associated with, about some people who have, checkered backgrounds, to be kind.
Yeah.
About his mom. He's saying it with his fucking chest. Like he's saying it from here and he's standing up. What Sean was saying at that press conference was crossing the line. What Khamzat did was dirty.
Yeah.
You can't kick a guy that you're about to fight in the balls before.
Saying this isn't their debut and that they've already known what that feeling is like. Oh, sorry. Actually, let me play a little bit more.
Anticipation, all-time high, building up. Holy shit. You win that fight and tell the world that was all for show? That was all for promotion? That is the biggest bunch of bullshit that I've ever heard. That is fraud. That is cowardly shit. You cannot do what he did and say what he did in the build-up to that fight and then tell us seconds after the fight is over, I was just trying to sell the fight.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You cannot walk that back. You called his mother a whore. You called his religion awful things. That doesn't go away. I'm sorry. And all that tells me is you're not who you say you are. You think Conor and Khabib are ever doing that? Ever. And these two guys went back and forth and took this sport and their fight into the gutter. And then afterwards, we're doing the kumbaya thing, putting the belt. No. And then you tell me afterwards, you share the cage with someone, 25 minutes. Excuse me, that wasn't your debut. You know what that feeling is like. You know what that phenomenon is like, sharing the cage with another human being. And yet you still spoke about him that way.
Oh, was I? Oh, well. Fuck, did I not? Anyway. Saying this isn't their debut and that they already know what that feeling is like doesn't apply to the situation whatsoever. It doesn't matter whether it's your debut or your first fight, 15th fight or 13th. If you share a cage with another human being for 25 minutes, especially when there's real hatred involved, you're going to come out on the other side feeling like something was resolved. So when Ariel says, "Excuse me, this isn't your debut," you know what that feeling is like. I just don't think that justifies his argument at all. It doesn't matter how many times a fighter has stepped into the octagon. If they go into a fight with genuine hatred, animosity, or disdain for another person, they are not going to come out feeling the exact same way afterwards. You don't build some kind of emotional tolerance to fighting another human being. Fighting somebody brings out a primal instinct that can completely tame or release whatever hatred you had towards that person beforehand. Now let's watch some more.
If you know what happens when you share the cage with someone for 25 minutes, you know that you're going to feel some sort of way about them in the aftermath.
Kinship
Yes.
sorts, yeah.
Don't tell me that, something came on you and afterwards you respected this man. No, you don't respect this man because you said all that stuff. Either you're lying about everything you said, but you took us to a very dark, deep, disgusting place. Fine. That's how you feel. And then you tell us in the immediate aftermath, I didn't mean any of that. I apologize, guys. When Conor McGregor...
Yes, Sean apologized. What exactly is wrong with apologizing for something you said? You literally just said moments earlier that Sean took everybody to a dark place and said vile shit. You acknowledged that's how Sean was acting leading up to the fight, fine. But now your argument is what? That because he said vile things, he's not allowed to walk them back afterwards? I genuinely don't understand that mindset. Do you think people are incapable of changing their perspective after going through something intense with another person? Sean apologized. That's the big takeaway. It's not like he's just walking it back and not apologizing and not acknowledging what he did. He apologized. He stepped up and admitted what he said was wrong. He owned it, and now you're criticizing him for doing exactly that? I'm sorry, but I just don't see the logic there.
McGregor won the belt at Madison Square Garden, he apologized to nobody.
Hang on a second here, folks. Let's just scroll back here.
I apologize, guys. When Conor McGregor won the belt at Madison Square Garden, he apologized to nobody.
Okay. Who cares about Conor McGregor? Who cares what Conor McGregor did? Sean is not Conor McGregor. Just because some people live in this fantasy WWE style world doesn't mean that the UFC has to follow that same formula. Sean isn't playing some heel character in a scripted universe. This is real life with real emotions and real consequences. There is so much more pressure leading into that fight. These guys are anxious, emotional, scared, angry, tense, all at the same time. And on top of that, Sean genuinely hated Khamzat leading up to that fight. So of course he was saying nasty shit. What do you expect? Yeah, part of it was selling the fight, absolutely. But there was also truth behind it. Sean genuinely felt that way at that time. Or at least he did heading into the fight. And guess what, Ariel? They fought. And they fought hard. So naturally, whether it was their first fight or not, they were going to come out on the other side with some level of respect for one another. Why? Because they fucking went to war together. That changes your perspective in a way most people will never understand unless they've experienced it themselves.
And this dude is apologizing for all of that 48 hours later?
Whoops, 1 second. I fucking forgot again. Let's go back a bit.
And this dude is apologizing for all of that 48 hours later? You don't get to say that about someone's religion and parents and mom and then apologize. I felt that was so weak. I felt that was so disappointing. I have nothing against Sean. I like Sean. In fact, I told his team long before all this, I think Sean and I have some things in common. That was BS. Respect to Khamzat. He tested me, but F that guy.
Yeah.
And if you want to get that belt back, beat 5 MFers, and I'll see you in 2 years.
I think that's probably
and
the
by
right
the way,
answer.
you didn't make weight, and I still stood here and beat your ass. What? That would have been incredible. You would have been a legend. And now you're telling me I'm sorry, and the world doesn't like me, and now I liked it. And it's like, come on, man, you're a walking contradiction.
Whoa. You can't apologize for that? What are you talking about? Why are you trying to tell another man what he can and cannot apologize for? I seriously don't understand the argument here. You clearly disliked the things Sean said, so why are you upset that he apologized for them afterwards? And then calling him weak? That honestly blew my mind. Wouldn't it actually be a sign of growth and maturity to face someone you hated, beat them, and then say, you know what, man, I took it too far, I'm sorry? How's that weak? If anything, that's the opposite of weak. And then Ariel goes on to say Sean should still be telling Khamzat to go fuck himself and come back after 5 wins to earn another title shot? I just don't get it. How can you sit there and tell another man how he should react emotionally after a fight? Sean is not a walking contradiction. The man apologized for what he said. He apologized to Khamzat's face, hugged him, shook his hand, apologized to his team, and apologized publicly on the mic. And let's not forget, Sean and Khamzat immediately touched gloves twice at the start of the fight. Do you think this was one-sided? They both found respect for each other. Not every rivalry has to stay hateful forever just because it started that way.
Yeah, it's just like
no one wants to feel like they were hoodwinked. No one wants to feel like they were conned.
A rematch against Chimaev and try to build it
And
back
we're
up.
gonna
The
do
fight
this
was
all
so
over
good,
again?
though.
Yeah, but we're going to do this all over again? If you don't believe it, don't say it, and don't fucking cross the line and talk
my
about
God.
religion and family and all this other stuff. You can't do that. And then tell us in the immediate aftermath, seconds later in the cage, man, that was just to sell the fight. No.
Oh my God! If you don't believe it, don't say it. That's what Ariel said. Ariel, he did believe it. That's exactly why he said it. Emotions were high. This wasn't fake WWE drama. There was genuine tension between these two guys. Sean felt disrespected, and at that moment, he meant everything that he said. Opinions change. Emotions change, especially after you go to war with someone. What don't you understand about that? Was he selling the fight? Yeah, of course. Sean understands how to talk and generate hype, but he still meant what he said in the moment. And honestly, Ariel, why do you care so much? Khamzat is clearly fine with Sean, so why are you so upset about it?
No. And on Khamzat's part too, you put the belt around him and all this stuff. Like, you wanted to kill this guy. You kicked him in the balls. Like, I thought that was weak on both their parts. And I know what someone's going to say out there. You've never done it. You've never walked for 25 minutes with someone through hell and been through it. Guess what? We've seen enough fighters hate each other before and hate each other afterwards.
Dude.
I'm not saying don't tip your cap. Thanks for the war. I'll see you down the road. But that was nonsense. You took us down a very, very dark path. Stay there. You freaking took this sport into the gutter. Everyone's counting their money and everyone's happy about it. Who were you selling the fight for?
Weak on both parts, he says. What are you even talking about? I genuinely cannot see where Ariel is coming from here. Khamzat initiated the glove touch. Khamzat wrapped the belt around Sean afterwards. Both guys immediately showed mutual respect after the fight. It was classy as hell. And you're sitting here saying they're weak because they didn't continue hating each other afterwards? What the hell do you expect them to do? Hold grudges forever? Ariel consistently talks about not holding grudges and trying to mend fences with people whenever possible, but now suddenly Sean has to stay angry forever? Why? You took us down a dark path, stay there. That's what Ariel said. Why? If you hated the dark path so much, why do you want Sean to remain there? It doesn't make any sense.
You got the fight. What benefit did you benefit from? What benefit came as a result of saying all that vitriolic, venomous stuff?
Yes.
If he would have said, I got 1.5 million pay-per-views because I called his mom a whore, great. You didn't get anything.
My God. Who are you selling the fight for? Are you kidding me right now? How many times have we heard Ariel complain that the UFC doesn't promote fights enough anymore? That fighters don't know how to sell fights. That there's no excitement in the build-up anymore. This press conference became the third most viewed live UFC press conference of all time behind Conor McGregor. So who was Sean selling the fight for? For all of us. For the fans. For you, Ariel. And yeah, there wasn't even a pay-per-view attached to this, which honestly makes it even more obvious that Sean's hatred was genuine. He didn't have to go that hard promoting the fight, but he did because he genuinely disliked Khamzat. Yes, he was selling the fight, but the hatred was real too. And now Ariel is upset because Sean didn't continue hating Khamzat after the fight. This just makes zero sense to me. You're asking what the benefit was? How about the fact that more people are paying attention to the sport now than before? You want promotion? There you go. Nobody got harmed outside of the two men who willingly fought each other, and the fans got invested in the process. Why is that suddenly a bad thing?
You know what's actually fascinating about that? I actually believe that the real is all that he said before. I think what's annoying about this is I think the aftermath is actually not the real. And that's what frustrates me. I think Sean Strickland wakes up today and says everything that he said about him again. Probably. You know what I mean? And so it's like, why did you even have to say that? Why did you do that? Why did you diminish everything that you did to get this fight and sell this fight, as you say? For what? He got me. The next time you do it, which he will inevitably do it, and there are going to be some dummies out there who will fall for it, it's not going to work. Okay, so now when he's going to fight Imavov, he's going to say the same things, and then we're going to be like, okay, now this again?
But also think about it.
Look, he said a lot of things about a lot of people who, can be intimidating. Do you think... I thought some of the... He said, I want to apologize. He apologized.
That was...
Do you think he got a message?
I don't know, man, but that was...
What other reason is Sean Strickland apologizing for?
To everyone, like all the sects of people that he insulted.
Nothing that he experienced in those 25 minutes should have changed his stance on what he said about him in the lead-up, because everything that he said about him in the lead-up had nothing to do with his fighting abilities.
Okay. Again, just because everything Sean said had nothing to do with fighting ability doesn't mean his feelings couldn't change afterwards. Those 25 minutes should change how somebody feels. That's what fighting does. And yes, there are examples of fighters who still hate each other after fighting, but using that as proof that every fighter should react this way is ridiculous. Sean had a horrible upbringing. He was a troubled kid who experienced a lot of darkness in his life. He got into fighting at a young age because it helped him calm down and cope with that rage. Fighting became his therapy. Sean needs to fight. Without it, who knows what kind of chaos he'd be dealing with in life right now. Sean's mind goes to dark places. He brought you to those dark places, Ariel, and you openly admitted it and hated it and wished he never went there. But the act of fighting Khamzat is probably exactly what Sean needed in order to find peace and apologize respectfully. And honestly, maybe Khamzat understands that feeling too. You have no right to tell Sean he was wrong for apologizing or that he should have stayed angry forever. That argument just makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
It was about his religion. It was about his family. It was about his associates. It's about his life, and he fled. What are you apologizing for? You just took all that back. And if I'm Khamzat, I don't accept. None of that gets erased because you went 25 minutes with him. There's unwritten rules in the fight game. You don't take the fight to certain places. And if you do, and if you dare to do that, freaking stay there. And I would have so much more respect for it. If I would have done a show on Friday after that press conference, I would have taken back a lot of the things that I said in the build-up, because I'd be like, yo, man, face-to-face in front of an audience, he backed it all up. Yeah. I was impressed. Did I agree? Did I like? Did I this? No, but I was impressed, and I thought he won. And then Friday, same. And then he took it all back.
Yeah,
and apologized. Golly, he apologized. Oh, my gosh. And then he starts talking to us about gratitude and all this stuff. I'm like, man, like, what is this?
Ariel said, what are you apologizing for? You just took all that back. Yeah, Ariel, that's literally what an apology is. Taking back what you said and owning up to it like a man. If I'm Khamzat, I don't accept, says Ariel. Well, good thing you're not Khamzat then, because it's not your place to decide whether another man accepts an apology or not. Ariel also said, you don't take the fight to certain places, and if you do, freaking stay there. That sentence doesn't even make sense to me. If you believe fighters should take things to dark places, then why would you want Sean to stay there afterwards? And how the fuck is Sean weak for apologizing? If anything, it was honorable. You should respect the fact that Sean stepped up, owned his words, and apologized if you hated his comments that much in the first place. And yes, Sean has gratitude now. He overcame his differences with Khamzat. Isn't that kind of a beautiful ending to the story? What exactly do you want from him? What are you actually angry about? I hate to say it, but honestly, this whole thing almost comes across like you're fishing for a viral moment, just to say things for the sake of saying things so you get the attention. Now, I'm not saying that is the case, but if this is genuinely how you feel, I just don't get it. I don't get this take. And now Sean responded shortly after this clip was posted, and he had this to say. Let me just pull this up. Let me zoom in here. This is why I don't do media with him. You are a leech who I've never respected. The moment I met this man, I knew his quality. End of the day, the hatred between was real. What he said about me was wrong. What I said about him was wrong. This what hate and anger does to people, and it still might be there, but we earned each other's respect through blood, and I would never expect a man of his quality to understand that. You are and always will be a pathetic MMA leech who has done nothing besides criticizing men who are better than yourself. Could Ariel be leeching off this to get clicks? I hate to think so, but it's honestly hard not to when he says things like this. This isn't even a hot take. It's just a weird one that Ariel has. It genuinely makes no sense to me whatsoever. The only way this take even remotely makes sense is if Ariel was reaching for something controversial to get views with. And again, I'm not saying that's what happened, but goddamn, like what else? I can't grasp the message that he's trying to derive from this. And then, of course, Ariel fired back at Sean with his own tweet, which I have here. Let me just zoom in a bit. Actually, I don't have to zoom in. That's good enough right here. I started covering this sport in 2001 as a freshman at SU. UFC wasn't even 8 years old. Saturday AM radio show that no one listened to, my first paycheck covering MMA came 8 years later. Call me a lot of shit if you wish, but a leech is laughable. There was nothing to leech off. Sounds like my honest criticism of inauthentic banter, not the fight, which I was glowingly positive about, struck a nerve. Oh well, that's the job. I'll tell you who is a leech. Managers who care more about their standing with the entity they are supposed to negotiate with than their own clients. Managers who suck a percent off the blood, sweat, and tears of broken fighters and care more about their own fame than their clients. Managers who beg media to speak to them rather than speak to their own clients. Laughable. Judge me by my enemies. If they think I'm a bad guy, I'm very happy. I was here before y'all got here and will be here long after too. Uncrowned Combat. Last of a dying breed. Ariel explained how he's not a leech, and then pivoted the conversation toward managers in MMA who actually are leeches. And sure, there are managers in this sport who absolutely leech off fighters, but let's just stay on topic here. It doesn't matter how long Ariel has been in the game or how long he plans to stay in the game. I'm still going to watch his content, and I'm still going to trust his reporting, but none of that changes the fact that this Sean Strickland take was honestly ridiculous. And there's really not much anybody could say that would convince me otherwise. Because to me, the argument simply does not make sense. And by the argument, I mean Ariel's argument. So let me ask you this. Do you agree with Ariel that Sean shouldn't have apologized after the fight? Or do you think fighters naturally gain respect for each other after going to war in the cage? Or at least have the potential to? And again, I need to end by saying this does not change my stance on Ariel Helwani. I will continue to watch Ariel Helwani every week because I do enjoy his show. I enjoy GC. I enjoy New York Rick. I enjoy everybody on the show, especially Ariel. He is actually the #1 most trusted news source for combat sports. Everything that he says is 100% accurate in terms of the news that he releases, okay? I should also mention Sean Strickland responded to someone earlier today or yesterday and said, "Of course it was real, but man, we just shorten each other's lives. I think the hate just got emptied. I wish him the best, and I hope he crushes the 205 division." Exactly. You go to war with someone, the hatred goes away. It doesn't always, but that is a very common result of what happens when you fight with someone. And I don't understand why Ariel isn't grasping that concept. It makes zero sense to me.
Tap here to watch the full episode of the Dynamite Gizmo podcast.